Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new League of Legends video. So the main focus of my channel is to try and teach you guys things that you can do to win your games, give you guys the best picks for each lane or specifically mid lane, and overall just try to give you the tools that you need to succeed. But sometimes it's nice to kind of take a step backwards, you know, just enjoy League of Legends for what it is. I mean, it's a game, it's made to have fun. And that is exactly the intention of this video. So I'll be giving you guys 5 really fun off-meta champion picks specifically for the mid lane that are also quite good in a certain way. Again, remember, these are meant to mainly just have fun. These are not your next OP champions you can pick in solo queue, dominate, and get challenger. So if you enjoy this slightly different pace of videos that's more focused on the fun aspect of League of Legends, let me know by hitting the like button. But just before we jump into the first champion, this video is going to be made in collaboration with Pro Guides. So a big shout out goes to them. They have been a huge help and I highly recommend checking them out. I'll have a link down below. Plus they have that cool new feature where you can chat to high and low players almost at any time that I feel like a lot of you might find useful. Both all that finally out of the way, let's go into the first champion in my 5 really fun off-meta mid laners. Starting things off is going to be Shaco or Shaco. This is not a champion you see very often, so you can almost even argue that, you know what, picking Shaco is already considered to be an off-meta type pick. But taking him and bringing him into the mid lane is even further of an off-meta pick, but it's a lot of fun. The beautiful thing about Shaco or Shaco is the fact that you can play him either as an AP champion or an AD champion, and they will both be not only fun but successful to their own ways. If you want to play more like a traditional assassin, obviously you want to play the AD Shaco route. However, if you want to play more of an assassin with mind tricks or just schemes, AP Shaco is the way to go. For mid lane, it's pretty decent. I mean, you can block off a lot of choke points with his W, you can go ahead and farm and get levels very quickly and get a lot of gold. You're also able to roam very well and gank other lanes quite easily, but the only problem is actually pushing in the wave since you will not have that much wave clear. But if you're playing AD Shaco and you go for a Hydra first, then it can work out pretty well. For the sake of this video, I'll be focusing a bit more on AP Shaco when I give you guys the runes, masteries, and all that good stuff, but that's not to say that it's necessarily better than AD Shaco. All in all, just a fun champion to play, especially in mid lane. Mid lane's very short, there's a lot of really nice choke points you can put your boxes in. Stacking them up in a bush or in a specific area around mid lane and then watching someone walk in and just die almost instantly is just amazing. All in all, a solid off meta pick for mid lane, very fun to play, and I highly recommend at least trying it out in a normals. And here's an example of the build that you can use if you were to play AP Shaco mid lane. Now I personally think Gunblade is a fantastic option, Lichbane being without question a must, and then you want to go for some raw damage like a Morellos for the CDR as well, Rabadons, and Luden's Echo. Following this, we'll be talking about Master Yi in the mid lane, obviously AD Yi since, well, RIP AP Yi. Now of all the really fun off-meta mid lane picks I'll be talking about in this video, I have to say this one is the closest to actually being considered a legitimate pick. I mean, if you really think about it, what does Master Yi in the mid lane offer? He has wave clear with his Q, he has Poke as well, he can get a lot of gold and snowball, he can push in the lane very quickly and begin to roam. It almost seems like he offers a lot of what a traditional AD assassin in the mid lane does, other than having that insane instant burst damage. But when you're laning with Master Yi in the mid lane and you just start spamming the Q to push in the wave and to also harass your opponent, every time that Q hits, it's just so satisfying. It feels amazing and it's a lot of fun to do. You can also cheese your opponents by getting your Q and then E level 2, stacking up your passive to where you double auto attack and then go in for the kill with the true damage. One thing that I find very important in the laning phase is sustain. How long can you stay in the lane before you have to back? Luckily for Master Yi, mana usually will be the only problem because his Meditate, the W ability, will heal him for a tremendous amount of HP. So this is extremely useful. A lot of mid laners have a lot of burst as well, so if you time your W perfectly, then you're gonna negate a lot of damage. All in all, Master Yi, a very fun champion to play, very popular as well, satisfying as hell to land your Q on the opponent when you're using it on minions. And all in all, a very fun pick that I recommend you at least try out. And if you do decide to give it a go, then here's my recommended items, runes, masteries, and ability order. The items are quite standard. I mean, Youmuu's Ghostblade being quite traditional on him, Blade of the Rune King with the Rage Blade getting a lot of attack speed with the Phantom Dancer, great dueling power, and then you have the Death's Dance, giving you somewhat of a pseudo tank item and also giving you a bit more damage, more lifesteal, and even more AD. But let's move into champion number 3, AP Blitzcrank. So I bet a lot of you expected to see this here because, I mean, when you really want to have fun, when you're just messing around with your friends, AP Blitzcrank mid lane is the way to go. The reason it's so good is because if you do pull someone in, you have 100% AP scaling on your Q, you have 100% AP scaling on the active part of your ultimate, and your E ability will proc on hit effects, and of course Lichbane being an absolute core item. So when you're looking for the pull and you landed on a squishy target, pull them in, use your ultimate and knock them up with your E ability with the Lichbane, they'll instantly pop and it's gonna feel just absolutely satisfying. Now one of the bad things about this, however, is gonna be the laning phase in certain points. Now you'll have a lot of kill pressure, especially if you start landing pulls on a squishy target. However, pushing in the wave is going to be problematic until level 6. But on the flip side, once you do hit level 6, you're going to have a lot of pushing power because your ultimate will clear the wave fairly easily, probably just take a couple of auto attacks on the melee minions. Your ultimate will have a low cooldown, so it'll be back up very quickly. And with his W ability, you'll be able to roam to other lanes fairly easily, make plays happen, and let's be honest, I mean, a Blitzcrank coming in from the side getting ready to pull with a 100% AP scaling Q is not something the opponents will take lightly. All in all, I do not think you can make a 5 fun off-meta champion list for mid lane without including AP Blitzcrank. And just like the other champions, here are my recommended runes, items, masteries, and skill order when busting out the robot in the mid lane. I really like the Abyssal Scepter here because it gives you CDR with the Lichbane and Morellos, that's 40%. You have a lot of magic penetration with the boots and the Abyssal Scepter as well, plus your runes. Lichbane being an absolute core, and again, 40% CDR equals maximum amount of pulls. And champion number 4 is going to be AP Tristana in the mid lane. Now, a while back, this actually used to be quite legitimate to the point where some even consider to be overpowered. But ever since Tristana's rework, it's been a little bit questionable whether or not AP Tristana is still a thing. But if you really look at it, you can see it's really not that bad. I mean, she still has AP ratios on her W, her E ability, and her ultimate. And her ultimate is still a 100% AP ratio. Now, something that I feel like a lot of people might find awkward, but I actually think is quite interesting, is the fact that her E ability, it does have an AP ratio on it, and a pretty decent one at that. But the E ability does physical damage. Now, at first it seems really awkward for an AP champion, right? I mean, you build AP items and doing physical damage kinda just feels a little weird, but think about it, it'll be very difficult for the opponent to itemize against you because again, you have a lot of AP damage coming out from your Lichbane, from your ultimate, and from your W, but then you also have your E ability still doing a lot of damage, but as physical. So I don't know, to me that's pretty interesting, almost gives her somewhat of a hybrid type feel. But the point is, you're gonna be still one-shotting people with your full combo, especially if you stack up your E ability and then W right on top of their face and just do an insane amount of damage. You're gonna have still some decent wave clear, you still have the attack speed with your Q, so that's not really that much of a problem. And she also feels almost like an assassin because of the W reset, so you jump in, burst someone down really hard, do an insane amount of damage, and then reset it, jump on another person, or just peace out. It's a very nostalgic experience, especially if you've actually never experienced it before, so I highly recommend trying this out. And in case you do, here are my recommended items, runes, masteries, and all that good stuff when playing AP Tristana in the mid lane. So I decided to go for the Proto Belt and the MIDS because I just want to stack the hell out of that AP, and she can do it somewhat successfully since she is a ranged champion and she does have an escape. Lichbane will just simply add to your already high burst damage, you want the CDR from the Morellos and just overall AP and mana it provides. The only things I would recommend trying to maybe replace with something else is either the Proto Belt or the MIDS, and instead maybe get a Hextech Gunblade. Other than that, this should be somewhat self-explanatory. And the final champion I'll be talking with you guys about in this video is going to be something I feel like some of you may have not expected to see. AP Maokai. And I'm not just talking about going Rod of Ages and then pure tank AP Maokai, no, I'm talking about full AP Maokai. This guy actually has some very decent base damage in his abilities, so that's why he's so successful as being a top lane tank. He's got the percent damage as well, and his ultimate is just fantastic. But every single ability he has in his kit scales with AP, and a decent amount. For instance, his E ability, if you land both parts of it, so when the sapling initially gets tossed and then when it explodes, on the same target, it'll do 360 base damage rank 5 plus 100% AP. Combine that with everything else in his kit and you are going to be doing a very surprising amount of damage. Now again, this is the one I feel like a lot of people are just simply not expecting to see. You almost never see a full AP Maokai, so trust me, when you play this, people will not be expecting your damage. You'll just annihilate someone's face, especially in the mid lane. Everyone's gonna be shocked, and it's pretty cool. But this is somewhat of a cheese strat. I mean, this is not to say this is OP, go play it in rank. No. This is a fun thing to do. It's good in normals, and it's not gonna work against people that actually know what they're doing, unless you are simply just better than them. But all in all, guys, the burst from this is gonna be very surprising. It's very fun to do. The whole kit just synergizes together, and I highly recommend trying this out because he also provides some decent wave clear with his E and his Q. Oh yeah, and like I said, the W provides percent damage, which against the current tanks is quite useful, and it also scales off of AP, 3% extra per 100 AP. But just like the other champions, here's my recommended build path for Maokai. Very similar to the Tristana build path, except here you want the Abyssal Scepter and the Rod of Ages, but you still want the Proto Belt. You go into them, you're right on top of them, Proto Belt in their face, hit as many of the bolts as possible, adds a lot of damage. You're still somewhat tanky with this overall build as well. You have a lot of AP damage, but one thing you can do is maybe switch out one of these items like the Proto Belt or even the Void Staff for something like a Lich Bane. But this build right here is probably your best option. But that is about it for this video, guys. I mean, there you have it, 5 really fun off-meta mid lane picks. All of them I think are good to a certain extent. All of them are 100% a lot of fun to play. If you guys did enjoy this video, let me know by hitting the like button, subscribe if you haven't, check out my other videos as well, and big shoutouts once again goes to Pro Guides. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you for the next video. Peace.